Okay, now I'll share the screen. I hope my screen is visible. Okay. So yesterday we started this chapter, heating and cooling load calculations. So I have given you the syllabus of it, right? Now in this case, whenever we are going to design an air conditioning system as HVAC engineer, so certain things are we should know, that is the procedure of designing an air conditioning system. So first thing is architect design. So architectures will give you these designs like building drawings in short. So there will be floor plans, floor by floor drawing will be there. There will be elevation drawings like front view, back view, top view, side view, etc. etc. Then as HVAC engineer, we have to first study the drawings. We have to imagine the building in 3D, or we have to mug it, or we have to understand all the aspects of the building. Then we go to the load calculation part. So this chapter is actually this step, load calculation. Load calculation means, suppose there is a house like this, inside there are some human occupants, then there are some machines are there is a fan is there is a bulb is there, then there is a glass window is there is some opening is there, etc. etc. Now load means the major load acting in this case is solar load. Okay, so from solar or from sun we get heat in the form of radiation. So so radiations will come into the room through glass, or if any opening is there, through that we'll get this heat by radiation. Now this air, outside air, hot air will flow inside the room through the openings. So in that case we'll get the heat by convection, right? Now again, this heat, hot air will come contact with the wall. Inside the wall there will be heat transfer by conduction. Again, this hot wall and the inside air will come in contact, and there will be again heat transfer by convection. So in this case we receive heat in all of these three forms: by transmission through glasses, by convection through air, and by conduction if you are sitting on ground or our feet are touched to the ground or the wall. So since all these heat load contributing factors we have to consider, and then we have to calculate the actual load acting on the system. Okay, right? Next thing is zone sizing and system selection. Zone sizing means, if there are, suppose this ground floor I have showed you yesterday, so there are, suppose four flats are there, or four flats are there. So zone sizing means one zone there will be one air conditioning system. So if you suppose if you want to apply air conditioning system for one zone, you can select one flat as one zone, or in another case you can combine these two flats, we name it as zone 3, and we can design an air conditioning system for that also. Next comes the duct sizing. So ducts are the one, or the heat carrying mediums here. So air will flow through the ducts. Okay, so for example, this is the one AHU is there, air handling unit. There will be fresh air inlet, there will be return air inlet. These two are mixed by adiabatic mixing. Then we have a supply air. Now the supply air will flow through the ducts. At the end of ducts we have air terminal devices. Air terminal devices like grills, registers, etc., or diffusers. So we have here supply air diffuser through which the air will come into the room. Again, this air will be circulated, it will carry the heat, it will be returned back to the AHU through return air ducts, right? So that is about duct sizing. Drafting and bearment. So as a HVAC engineer, first you have to calculate the load, then you have to select the air conditioning system, and then you have to draft it on the architect plan. So in first step I have told you we receive architecture drawings. So in that you have to show this HVAC design. So suppose this is a floor plan given to you, you have to show in the top view, these are the supply air diffusers, this is the duct, this is the duct sizing, etc. etc. Now when you prepare all these drawings, last step comes is a BOM, that is a bill of material. So there will be equipment numbers and their pricing. Suppose you are going to install some fan, you require 4 fans. So price per fan, suppose it is 1000, total cost will be 4000. So such that all the equipment costing will be done, and we have a bill of material. So we have bill of material, plus you can take other costs such as operating cost, right? You can take interest on the loan we have taken from banks, etc., etc. So that will be a project cost. So considering labor charges or the consultancy charging, all that will fall under project cost. Okay. So like that way, at this end or at this point, our job as HVAC engineer end. Now comes the next part of the HVAC contractor. So contractors will check the drawings and they will purchase the equipment. They will install the system. They will check the system with their instruments, and the annual or the regular maintenance will be carried out. So this is the overview of the industry, and there was some rule of thumb calculations. So these were it. Suppose, for example, if you take a shop with 1000 feet square floor area, in that case, you may require 5 ton of refrigeration or air conditioning. Okay. If you take example of theaters, in theaters, 0.07 tons per seat. In that case, per 1000 feet square, that will be the air conditioning requirement. Okay. But we cannot go actually with this. Actually, so these values are always higher than the actual values. So if you are designing system by this way, no problem, you will get air conditioning. But in that case, you have to expend a larger amount of cost and energy, because actual amount may be less than this. So in that case, your loss will be there, right? You have to unnecessarily, you have to provide extra air conditioning or refrigeration in that case. So design procedure, first we have to decide design conditions. Design conditions mean indoor conditions and outdoor conditions. So outdoor conditions, always select peak day. So if you are designing an air conditioning system for summer conditions, in that case you have to select a peak summer day, right? And if you are designing air conditioning system for winter condition, in that case you have to select a peak winter day. Now indoor conditions, it depends on the type of application. If you are designing air conditioning system for the human occupants, in that case, indoor conditions are depending on the thermal comfort of human beings. Thermal comfort means the condition at which we as human feel comfortable. So these are 24 degrees Celsius DBT and 50% RH. Then next is ventilation requirement. So according to ASHRAE standard 62.1, we require some fresh air. In this case, their formula is fresh air is equal to CFM per person. CFM is cubic feet per minute. So that is the air flow rate, volume flow rate of air into number of people, plus CFM per feet square into floor area. So this way you will get a fresh air calculation. Next is room sensible heat load. So here there are some factors, as I previously told, human are there, electric equipments are there. So such way they are emitting some kind of sensible heat. So that also you have to take into consideration. But here you cannot take the load, sensible load by the air which is passing on cooling coil. So all that air passing on cooling or by bypassing the cooling coil. So that load you cannot take in the RSH. Now next is effective sensible heat. ESH, in ESH you have to consider RSH plus sensible heat by bypass air. Okay. So we have discussed this point, bypass air, right? So there is a coil, right? Inlet temperature TD1, coil temperature TD2. Now outlet temperature comes out to be TD2. Now ideally when air at TD1 comes in contact with coil at TD3, outlet temperature should be TD3, right? Ideally. But in actual, what happens? Due to some factors contributing to heat transfer, we do not get TD2. Now, in other way, you can say that X amount of air passes onto the coil and its temperature becomes TD3. 1 minus X amount of air bypasses the cooling coil, its temperature is still TD1. So TD3 plus TD2, some average temperature will get, that is the TD2. Next was GSH, global sensible heat. So in that case, it is ESH plus sensible load acting on cooling coil. Again, there is a formula ESH plus 1.08 into CFM into 1 minus bypass factor into delta T. Delta T is here again outdoor temperature minus indoor temperature or design temperature. Next is similarly we have RLH, we have ELH, and we have GLH. So formulas are different here. It is ELH plus 0.68 CFM into delta W. W is here specific humidity into 1 minus bypass factor. Okay. Now next we have grand total heat. Then we have two factors, RSHF and GSHF. RSHF is room sensible heat load divided by room total heat load. GSHF is global sensible heat load divided by global total heat load. Okay. Now today's lecture we'll see how to draw this RSHF and GSHF lines. Okay. So first we'll see how to draw one RSHF line. So this is very important because in numericals you have to draw RSHF line. Okay. So pay attention. So even though this examination will be in online mode, at least this knowledge is very basic that you should know how to draw one RSHF line. Okay. Okay. Now see here. First of all, you have to calculate RSHF. RSHF is room sensible heat load divided by room total heat load. Second is locate the value on RSHF scale in psychrometric chart. So now I will open a psychrometric chart. On that I will show you. Okay. So I hope this is familiar to you. This is average psychrometric chart is there, right? Now in this case, so previously what you knew that on abscissa we have DBT, on ordinate here we have humidity ratio. Again here we have RH curves like this, right? Then we have constant enthalpy lines like this. Then we have constant volume lines like this, right? Now next scale here it is room sensible heat load. So here we have RSHF scale is there. You can see here it starts with 1 and it ends with 0.36. So it somewhat goes on decreasing. Okay. So whenever you will calculate RSHF value, let us say the RSHF value here comes out to be 0.5. Okay. So this is a RSHF value of 0.5. Okay. Now on this chart, you will observe one circle like this. Always you will observe one circle like this. I hope it is visible to you. So this is a circle here. This circle is nothing but 24 degrees Celsius DBT, 24 degrees Celsius DBT. And in this case, 50% RH. So this is 50% RH. So we will get this 0.24 DBT and 50% RH. Now what you have to do, you have to connect a line. You have to connect a line first through this point and this RSHF value. So here is the line. Okay. So see here. Here is the line and I will connect it. Okay. Now this is a reference line. This is not even RSHF line. This is a reference line. Now let us say your room condition is 20 degrees Celsius and 40% RH. So it comes out to be here 20 degrees Celsius and 40% RH. So this is your design condition or room condition. It is here. So let me connect. Okay. So let us say your design condition is this 20 degrees Celsius and 40% RH. This is your room condition or design condition. Now what you have to do, you have to draw a line parallel to it. You have to draw a line parallel to it. So a line parallel to it, I will try to draw, and it will be, so it will be like this. Okay. So such way you will get an RSHF line. Okay. So mostly the value will be always greater than 0.5. So let me rub this. We'll draw again. Okay. Now let us say you will get a value, it is always greater than 0.5. So let us say you'll get a value of, let us say you'll get a value of 0.8. Okay. So this is your RSHF value you will get from calculations. Now you have to draw a reference line passing through this circle and to this point. Okay. Now next line, what we have to do is RSHF line, which will pass through room condition. So here it is room condition, 20 dBT and 40% RH is the room condition. I will draw a line parallel to it. So with the help of roller, you can draw. And let us say you will get this point here. Okay. Now, in this case, this is a RSHF line. This is your RSHF line. This is the room condition is there. You'll get here. And the point where it intersects the saturation curve, this point we are referring it as a R dash. And this R dash is nothing but room ADP. That is room apparatus dew point, room ADP. Okay. I hope you understood. First, you have to calculate RSHF value. You have to plot it here on this RSHF scale. You have to connect that value with the reference point here, that is 24 dBT and 50% RH. Draw a line. This is just a reference line. To that reference line, you have to draw a parallel line passing through this room condition. It will intersect saturation curve here. This point is room ADP, and this line is RSHF line. Okay. Now coming back here, so this is RSHF line. The next thing here it is drawing the GSHF line. Okay, so I will erase this all. Okay, like next is GSHF line. Now GSHF line, for that first you have to draw RSHF line. So that is very mandatory requirement. If you want to draw global sensible heat factor line, in that case first you have to draw one RSHF line. Okay. Now see here, in this case, this point here it is outdoor condition, that is denoted by O. Here we have room condition, that is denoted by R. So somewhere here, this in AHU, outdoor air, that is fresh air, will be combined with return air, and here we have supply air. So this is point M, that is mixing point, or supply air point is here, point M. Now we have calculated RSHF somewhere here. We will join the RSHF with the reference point. So let us say I will draw that also. Let us say we get this as a RSHF value. And somewhere here we have this reference point. So I will draw one reference line like this. And to that reference line, I will draw a line passing through room conditions, right? So this way I will get R and R dash. So R dash is our RSHF line, right? Now next point is here, plotting the GSHF line. So for plotting the GSHF line, you should know what is coil ADP. So previously we have seen point R dash as room ADP, but here we should know coil ADP. Coil ADP means coil apparatus dew point. That means the point at which the water will start condensation on the coil. So that temperature you should know. If you know that temperature, plot that temperature on saturation line curve and join this point, that is S dash, with the point M. So this M S dash, that point, that line is called as GSHF line. Okay, so previously we had R dash, that is RSHF line. Now when we will plot the coil ADP on saturation curve, we'll draw a line through coil ADP and the mixing point, so that M S dash, that will be your GSHF line. Okay, so I hope it's clear to you. Now suppose here we have an AHU, 40% is fresh air, 60% is return air, and we have a supply air. So here ratio of fresh air to the return air is 2:3, right? So out of 5, 2 parts are of fresh air and 3 parts are of return air. right? Now, see here, if you don't know the coil ADP, so coil ADP is unknown to you, but you know the bypass factor. So in that case, what you have to do? First, you have to draw the R dash line, right? You have to divide this line according to the bypass factor. Let us say bypass factor is 0.15. Okay, bypass factor is 0.15. Okay, in that case, what you have to do? You have to draw or divide this line into 10 equal parts, and you have to search for 1.5 decimal. Okay, if the bypass factor in this example is 0.2, in this case, you have to draw this, divide this line into 10 equal parts. You have to search for 2 parts from this, and this point will be your bypass factor point here. Yes. Okay, now you can draw a line through this mixing point and this bypass factor line point. Draw a line. If you extend it up to saturation curve, you will get a coil ADP. So in case coil ADP is not given, you can divide this RSHF line by bypass factor, then join or draw a line through this point and the mixing point, extend it up to saturation curve, and you will get a coil ADP. Okay. So what is happening here? I will again tell you. There is an AHU, air handling unit is there. Fresh air, that is outside air, is mixed with the return air. So you can see here, this is the figure here, right? Now at the outlet we have supply air conditions. So supply air point will come here on psychrometric chart, right? We are passing it on the cooling coil. We are passing it on a cooling coil. So in cooling coil, what will happen? Cooling and dehumidification will take place. So the dew point we know, that is S dash. This air will pass on the cooling coil and it will reach to the condition of S, right? So S point is the point or is the condition of air entering the room. Okay. Now you may say, sir, at room we require this condition, then why we are supplying air at condition S? Okay. Now see here, the explanation given is here. This is a room. Okay. This is a room which we have to maintain at 26 degrees Celsius. So initially the temperature at the room was 35. We want to reduce it to the 26 degrees Celsius. Now the main question is here that can I supply the air at 26 degrees Celsius? So if I supply air here at 26 degrees Celsius, will the temperature of room reduce to 26 degrees Celsius? That is a question, right? So what I'm saying here, right? What I'm saying here actually, we have to drop the temperature from 35 to 26. Now here in this case, if I supply the air at 26 degrees Celsius, okay. Now at room, the temperature I will get is the between 35 and 26. So I may get temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. I will not get a temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. So in order to get a temperature of 26 degrees Celsius, I have to supply air at lower temperature, lower than 26 degrees Celsius, right? So I supply the air at 20 degrees Celsius. Now the resultant temperature inside the room will be between 20 and 35 degrees Celsius. So somewhere I will get 26 degrees Celsius. Okay. I hope this is clear to you. You cannot supply the air at exact same temperature. You cannot supply the air at exact room condition. You have to supply the air somewhat at somewhat lower temperature than room temperature, that is point S. Okay. I hope this is clear to you. And this is the meaning of it, right? So these two streams get mixed together. This is a mixing point. Then this mixed air will pass on the cooling coil and it will reach the condition of S. Okay. Now this, from this onwards, this is the supply air condition. This will be supplied to the room. As it gets mixed inside the room, its temperature and humidity condition will reach to room condition, and this is a return air, right? Again, return air, fresh air will combine together, will get mixing point. Again, this mixed air will pass on to the cooling coil. Here we'll get a supply air condition. Supply air will pass to the room. Okay. Again, in this case, R dash is RSHF line and MS dash is GSHF line. Okay. So draw this diagram. This is very important. Okay. Now next thing concept is here dehumidified air quantity. Okay. Next concept here we have is dehumidify air quantity. Okay. Now see here what is happening here. This is a mixed air. Mixed means we have combined the fresh air with a written air and we get a mixed air. Now I will supply this mixed air on a cooling coil. So let us say this is a cooling coil. On cooling coil, what will happen? Some of the moisture content in the air will get condensated. That means it will get removed from the air. It will condensate here. That means their temperature will reduce the coil ADP temperature. Coil ADP means coil apparatus dew point temperature. So the temperature of here will reduce the coil ADP. Some of the water content will be removed because it will get condensated on the coil, and then there will be one tray on in which the water will be collected and it will be thrown out, right? Now what is happening here? The air gets dehumidified. Not only it gets cooled, it gets dehumidified. So that is the name given, dehumidified air quantity. So it is measured in CFM. Its formula is ESH. ESH is effective sensible heat. Effective sensible heat is room sensible heat, that is RSH, plus sensible heat load acting by bypassed air. Okay, so ESH is RSH plus bypassed air sensible heat load divided by 1.08 into 1 minus bypass factor into TDR, that means room temperature, my dBT minus ADP, coil ADP. Okay, so not this is a room ADP. Okay, so the formula for dehumidified air in CFM is ESH, that is effective sensible heat, divided by 1.08 minus 1 minus into in bracket 1 minus bypass factor bracket complete into in bracket TDR. TDR is dry bulb temperature of room, TDR, minus ADP, room ADP. Okay, room ADP is the R dash point. So bypass factor will be given to you. TDR, that is room dry bulb temperature, that will be also designed by you or decided by you. ADP is the room ADP. Okay. So this will be required while solving the numericals. We'll see at that time. And the last theory part of this chapter is diversity factor, right? So what is the diversity factor? I will give you some hint. So in that case, whenever we are designing a system, right? So what I said that if you are designing a system for summer condition, we have to take peak summer condition. So let us say for Solapur region, peak temperature reaches to 45 degrees Celsius and 30% RH. Okay, so this is my peak condition. I have to design a system considering a peak condition. Why peak condition? So by our bad luck, if such situation comes 45 degrees Celsius, we should be well prepared for that, right? Again, in that also system, I'm assuming, suppose I'm take example of classroom. In classroom, I'm assuming there is a peak condition, then the classroom is fully occupied, then all the fan, all the lights are on, right? And maximum heat load, that whatever other parts will contribute to the heat load. Now, if you go by logically, you will come to know that this condition will exist maximum for 10 minutes. म्हणजे असं एक पीक डे येईल, पीक डे मध्ये क्लासरूम भरलेली असेल, सगळे फॅन लाईट चालू असतील, अशी एखादीच कंडिशन येऊ शकते, नॉट ऑल द टाइम. So most of the time the temperature and the RH conditions will be lower than the peak conditions. Most of the times the classroom will be 50% occupied and the lights and fan will be occasionally started and off. So in that case you have to consider diversity factor, right? So it is assumed that the system is subjected to all possible loads and is at peak design condition at all the time. Okay. However, zones may not be occupied all the time. Also, lighting and equipment loads are applied when in use. For such jobs, a diversity factor can be applied on people and light loads to arrive at a realistic heat load. So, our objective is here to arrive at realistic heat load. So, type of application, let us see here. Okay, I will drop this, all the annotations. Okay. First is big offices. In that case, the diversity factor for people is 0.75 to 0.9. That means most of the time 0.75% is what the occupancy inside the offices. And lights also 0.7 to 0.85. That means 70% lights are on most of the times. Apartment hotels, again 0.4 to 0.6 people, 0.3 to 0.5 lights. Department store 0.8 to 0.9 and 0.9 to 1. Okay. So this is a diverse factor we have to consider while coming to the realistic heat loads. Okay. So I hope this is sufficient and we can move towards our numerical part. Okay, so what is the time now? Okay, I hope we'll be able to solve it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I will take one poll also. Let me check whether you are understanding or not. Okay, I'm creating one poll here. Okay, so I will launch the poll. Let us see how many of you can answer to it. Okay, so see the pole. So RSHF line will give you RSHF line will give you. Yes. So just now we have covered RSHF, that is a room sensible heat factor line. So whenever I will draw one RSHF line, it will give you what? So one unknown quantity it will give you. Okay. So whenever that RSHF line will intersect with the saturation curve, so the point lying on the saturation curve is what? Is what I mean here. Whenever RSHF line will draw, it would intersect the saturation curve, and that point of intersection is called what? Yes. Yes. Anybody? So only one people have given answer. Others also contribute. Yes, 5 people. Okay. 4 have given room DBT. Okay. Okay. So the correct answer here it is. Okay. People are still voting. 7, 8. Okay. Okay. So the correct answer here it is room ADP. Option number 2. That is the correct answer. Okay. So 2 people only have successfully given the right answer. So once again, I will explain it. Okay. So where was it? Yes. So this one was it. So see here, R and R dash, that is your RSHF line. So whenever we draw one RSHF line, or in this case, I'll show you with the simpler example, R and RSHF. When we draw one RSHF line, in that case, we'll get a room ADP point. That is room apparatus dew point line or point. Okay. So whenever I will draw GSHF line, so in this case, MS dash is the GSHF line, I will get a intersection point, that is a supply air condition point. Okay. So remember that. Right. Okay. Now I'll share the screen. Today we'll read the example. In next lecture, we'll try to solve it. Right. Okay. So I'll read the example. Let us try to understand it. So an air conditioning hall is to be maintained at 27 degrees Celsius dry bulb temperature and 21 degrees Celsius wet bulb temperature. It has sensible heat load of 46.5 kilowatt and latent heat load of 175 kilowatt. The air supplied from outside atmosphere at 38 degrees Celsius dry bulb temperature and 27 degrees Celsius wet bulb temperature is 25 meter cube per minute. Okay. So here they have given the room condition and they have given the outside condition. Here it is outside condition. Here it is the room condition. They have given the sensible heat load acting, that is room sensible heat load is 46.5. RSH is given, RLH is given 175 kilowatt, RLH is more. So that air, outside air entering at 25 meter cube per minute directly into the room through ventilation and infiltration. Outside air to be maintained is passed through the cooling coil whose apparatus dew point is 15 degrees Celsius. So that whenever these two will mix together, or the fresh air, in this there is no mixing, fresh air will fall onto the cooling coil whose dew point temperature, coil ADP, here it is 15 degrees Celsius. The quantity of recirculated air from the hall is 60%. So the mixing takes place in 40-60, 40% fresh air and 60% return air. But you have to understand here it is first the fresh air is cooled, then it is mixed. Okay, so whatever theory we have seen in that case, first they were mixed together, then they were passed on to the cooling coil. But here in this case, fresh air is first cooled, then it is mixed with return air. Quantity is mixed with the conditioned air after the cooling coil. Determine the condition of air after the coil and before the recirculated air mixes with it. Condition of air entering the hall, that is supply air condition after mixing and recirculated air. Mass of fresh air entering the cooler. Okay. Bypass factor of the cooling coil. Refrigerating load acting on the cooling coil. Okay. So we will eventually go to that also. First see here and draw this diagram. First we'll understand what is happening here. So we have a cooling coil whose ADP is given, that is 15 degrees Celsius. Fresh air is coming, its condition is 38 degrees Celsius DBT, 27 degrees Celsius WBT. It is given here, okay, already given in the example. Now what will happen? This will pass on to the cooling coil. It will get cooled down, cool and dehumidified. Now this fresh air, cooled and dehumidified fresh air will mix with the return air in the mixing chamber. So there will be adiabatic mixing here, 60 and 40. Then we will get a supply air. This supply air is passed to the hall, which is to be maintained at 27 degrees Celsius DBT and 21 degrees Celsius WBT. Okay. So here we have to find out first is condition of air after coil. So here this condition we have to know the condition of fresh air after cooling. Second, we have to know condition of air entering the hall. We have to know the supply air conditioner. Third, we have to know mass flow rate of air entering the cooler. Here the mass flow rate of fresh air that we have to know. Then we have to know bypass factor of cooling coil. So here the ADP is given, and from ADP, like when I will show you, that time we can calculate the bypass factor also. Refrigerating load acting on the cooling coil. So lastly, the main thing here, refrigerating load acting on the cooling coil. Okay. So we'll solve this example in next lecture. So by the time you draw this diagram, okay. So we have total 3 big numericals, and in next lecture, I will take all of that. Okay. So in next lecture, we probably finish this chapter. I will take 2 hours lecture because it will require 2 hours. In that 2 hours, I will finish this chapter. But these numericals will take a lot time and patience of yours to understand. Okay. The 50% is problem is solved when you will draw such schematic sketches and psychrometric diagram. So from that, your 50% problem is solved. As an examiner, it is expected that you draw such diagrams and psychrometric diagram. Okay. Once you draw this diagram, your understanding of the problem will be more clear. As you go on solving, the things will become more clear to you. Okay. Now put your attendance in the chat box and we can stop. Okay. But in next lecture, be attentive because I'm going to take the numericals part of the heating and cooling load calculations. Those who want to pursue the career in this field, for them it is very essential to know the basics of cooling load calculations. Okay. So please enter your attendance in the chat box so that we can stop. Right. Okay. Okay. Rohit Vidate. Okay. 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 So I hope everybody has put their attendance. So with this, we can stop. See you in next lecture.